Hakuna Matata. Is there no worries about this movie?
Might be a few.
What's going on, guys? We're the Cinefanatics. My name is Chris Adams.
And I'm Robert Adams.
And today we are doing a movie review for The Lion King, the new animated live-action movie.
I was going to say, if we're doing a review for The Lion King, we're like about 14 years too late.
Yeah.
Oh, but there was a live-action one.
Yeah.
Live action.
The 2D animation is now 3D.
Yeah. So before we actually get into this review, I think the first thing we need to point out is typically at this point in our review, we would be saying whether this review has spoilers or no spoilers. So I'm going to kind of incorporate this into the review in that this movie is almost a shot-for-shot remake of the animated cartoon. So like I just said, that movie came out, say, 14 years ago, 1994.
Yes.
Yeah. So a little more than 14 years. I'm going to expect that pretty much everybody's already familiar with The Lion King, so...
And if you're not, then there's going to be spoilers for The Lion King in this review.
Mufasa's going to die halfway through the movie.
There was no break on the warning there. It just jumped right into it.
Yeah, kind of like the cartoon did in the original.
Again, if you haven't seen the original Lion King...
Now, one thing I think, though, is we'll probably hold back and not really spoil maybe a few of the small changes that they made. There were a few small, like, little tweaks here and there. Of course, this was a live-action movie, so it was kind of hard to do some of the cartoon silliness of the original.
Yeah.
So there was a few small things tweaked. I think a lot of those were done very well, but...
As such, they played off of your expectations of what you knew from the original and then subverted them a little bit with some of the stuff that they did in this one. Just because you're used to the original story, you know what's coming, and then they're like, haha, just kidding, we're doing it this way this time instead. Namely that one song.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Yeah, obviously, spoilers, whatever, moving on. This movie... The big question going into this movie, and it feels like this is the question now that we're asking for almost any of these live-action remakes from Disney movies is, was this movie necessary? And we might have different answers on this. My answer was, no, not at all. Not at all.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll dive a little bit deeper into this. I liked this movie, but what we're about to say in this review, we've kind of already talked about this after the movie was over, and we saw this movie last night, so it has been almost 24 hours since we've seen this, and I've been able to mull over some of like what we've talked about last night and to kind of present it here. I did like this movie. I thought it was fantastic, and yeah, we'll dive in deeper here.
Well said.
Yeah. So I'll go right off the bat with one of the things I really liked. I think the way the animals looked was fantastic. They made, I don't know how much of this actually was CGI. If the whole thing was CGI, they did a very good job on these animals. I mean, granted, I know when they talked, their mouths and stuff were CGI.
They fed them all peanut butter.
Yeah, Mr. Ed. Yeah, there's a Mr. Ed throwback. For you kids, Mr. Ed was a talking horse back in the beginnings of television.
Or anytime they tried to make a dog talk in the old days.
Yeah.
But so the thing about this is that the textures, everything, they were realistic animals. Everything about them looked real. And so whatever animation, whether they actually used real animals at any given point or it was just animation, yeah, it all looked fantastic. I will give props all day for how well, how good, how wonderful everything looked.
However,
because of that, because they are all realistic looking animals, one of the problems I had with it, and it's probably my biggest issue with it, and it's what separates it from the original cartoon, is that you can't do emotion on a real animal's face, because outside of like dogs and sometimes cats, most animals usually don't show emotions on their faces.
Ooh, we're gonna get blasted in the comments for that.
I mean, maybe. I mean...
No,
we're not.
Some of the animals I've seen. Yeah.
The people who watch our videos aren't dumb. Anyway, so yeah, you don't really see emotions on animals' faces all that much. And so that being said, keeping to the realism, you can't do like the emotions like say for instance we're talking about Mufasa's death. That scene is the one in particular I pointed out. That had a punch in the original cartoon. And I was already ready to feel that punch again. The problem is in the cartoon, you see Simba walk up to his dad and his ears are down, his eyes are watering, and you hear the, "Dad, Dad, no!" And you're like about to cry because you're feeling Simba's pain. In this one, however, while you hear the voice acting perfect for that scene, "Dad, Dad," that was playing out.
And the movements are pretty much matching that.
Yeah.
He's like pawing at his dad.
Yeah. The problem is that his face is a stoic lion cub face. There was no tears, there was no emotion there. There was nothing that separated him from just, oh, we're watching a lion paw at his dad.
Because lions, especially cubs, basically don't go.
Yeah, they don't make the sad faces.
I don't know what faces I'm making, so gassy?
So that was yeah, exactly. That was my problem with most of this is like moments in the cartoons where there was emotion, you saw it come through on the characters' faces, and that's what drew you into that emotion. That's lacking in this movie. It's not there.
And this is where I've thought about this since we talked about it last night, and I kind of agree. There is essentially an emotional detachment from there. It's not the same emotional connection that you had to these characters in the original animated cartoon, because we as humans, when we emote, you see it on our faces, you see it in our how we act and talk and move and everything. And we saw that in these characters in the original cartoon, and you don't see it in the live action version. So it's hard to connect on that emotional level when you just don't see it on their faces.
They almost feel lifeless and soulless in a way.
Yes. Now, here's the flip side to that I believe is also possible. If this movie was done where they did put a little emotion into their faces, then you are talking about a movie in which we're criticizing these live action animals making faces like a cartoon, and thus possibly pulling you out of that moment like, that's a real lion, and he just went and frowned or whatever.
Now, taking that into consideration, that if that being true, that brings me back to the original point.
Is this movie necessary?
No. I mean, here's the thing. I like the story of the original Lion King. As such, the story is still present. We still have the story of the original Lion King. Therefore, I'm going to like this movie. The problem is that the things that were charming about the original Lion King don't feel like they're present here to me. Now, that being said, and we can jump into this one, the voice acting did help add to it a little bit. If you can't get the emotion, at least have it in the voice. And the actors they hired for the voices in this movie were perfect for each and every one of their roles. Except for Mufasa, I think the guy they got in the original one did better.
Yeah. Okay, just to correct it, we do know it was James Earl Jones, the original voice, so please don't
Wait, what? No way, that's crazy.
Please don't add us in the comments. We know. We're making a joke. It's okay.
I know it's hard to read jokes across the internet.
So, quick fun fact, if you didn't know, that Simba's parents in the original cartoon was his mom and dad were also the parents in Coming to America.
Oh,
both of them.
Fun factoid.
Yeah. So, I think the voice acting was really good. When I first heard of some of the voices, I was like, I don't know, like, for Timon and Pumbaa, those are pretty iconic voices. Why can't you get Ernie Sabella and Nathan Lane to come back to perform those voices? Much like James Earl Jones coming back for Mufasa. But after watching the movie and hearing Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner doing those voices, I was like, okay, I'm sold. These are good. I could tell Seth Rogen every once in a while, maybe with that chuckle that he does so often.
Yeah.
Billy Eichner, I couldn't hear at all. Like, I heard Timon. I heard basically a really good Nathan Lane Timon impersonation, and I was satisfied with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about how well these voices nailed it. Was that Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner were perfect for Timon and Pumbaa. I mean, the reason why they don't get the originals back for that is because, I mean, if you're going to get anybody back from the original, you got to get James Earl Jones because he has the gravitas. That's what he comes with when he's playing Mufasa or any character. Yeah, but Timon and Pumbaa were absolutely perfect. So, that being said, you have to touch on Donald Glover and Beyonce as Simba and Nala because they're kind of like the main strings in the movie. As well as... I'm never good at saying his name.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yep. There you go.
His scar was amazing. And that was another one I was like, I don't know if you can replace Jeremy Irons as Scar. Jeremy Irons is kind of iconic in that voice role.
Side note, leave it in the comments below. Is it better that I attempt to pronounce the name or just don't at all? Y'all let me know.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons is, I mean, that's the thing you battle with such a movie that has like such big feelings of nostalgia for people is now you have to fight through the iconicism of everybody in those roles. I thought, for what was necessary for the role, Donald Glover and Beyonce did fine. I don't think that too much was actually required of them, so they came in, did their roles, and it was perfect.
There were some times where like I could realize that Nala was Beyonce, and that kind of took me out of it because I'm like, oh, Queen Bee, whatever her name is. I'm not part of the Beehive, whatever.
Yep, and now they're gonna slam us in the comments.
That's this whole video apparently.
Whatever.
But yeah, that kind of took me out of it a little bit. And on the subject of Beyonce taking me out for a minute.
That's never going to happen, dude.
Yeah. That's not what I meant. Good one, though. So, quickly moving on to the music. All the original songs that were done, fantastic.
Yeah.
Flawless. Absolutely loved it. Just absolutely amazing. Even they did a little bit of a rehash of Be Prepared, which I liked. I would have liked the full song, but I understand we didn't want goose-stepping hyenas in this, so that makes complete sense. But there was a Beyonce song that was put into this movie. And back in the scene where basically Simba's running back to the Pride Lands before the final battle. Mm-hmm. And it's a good song. Like, I actually thought the song fits for The Lion King. Unlike What's-Her-Face's song in Aladdin that I don't feel like fit Aladdin. But your opinion aside.
No, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, okay. So, but... The thing is the song that was playing in the original cartoon when Simba's running back, I thought that was an iconic song for that moment. It's that song where Simba's just up and he's screw it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to reclaim my life.
And I didn't remember what it was, so I don't agree on the iconic part.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe it might be you too. There's something else you could do in the comments. As far as the other music goes, and I feel like we should have said this at the beginning because it's talking about the beginning. The opening number of Circle of Life, worth the price of the movie ticket, seeing that on the big screen alone. If that was all they showed, I would have been fine.
I was tearing up a little bit at the beginning just because it was like, okay, yeah, we're back in it. This is Lion King. Here we go. Got it. Nailed it.
And they're matching the shots of like the animals' arrival to Pride Rock, like almost exactly shot for shot.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely gorgeous. I loved that scene.
Other end on the music, the Lion Sleeps Tonight. They did a little fun thing with that. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it involved layering other sounds and stuff onto the song to actually really give it like a robust performance. And I thought it was actually really, really well done for that one. Mm-hmm. And then just how that whole scene played out was just hilarious. But yeah, I don't know if there's too much more to touch on this one.
The only other thing we talked about in the car was like the pacing of it.
Yeah.
Yep. And this was the other thing I was thinking too is we kind of agreed like overall this movie was pretty fast paced, but so are movies and cartoons meant for little kids because you want to keep the kids' attention. We all have ADD, so we all need to be paying attention and focusing like all the time. So that's why they are fast paced.
Yeah.
What I think they did, my opinion of this is that there were certain key points and scenes in this where they took that part and they may have stretched just a little bit of it. My best example was the mouse at the beginning of the movie. In the original cartoon, we see the mouse like kind of climb in, kind of go over here, scurry over here closer to the camera, gets right up here, and then boom, Scar steps on him. And that's it. This movie, we've got maybe like 2-3 minutes of watching this mouse run around before Scar even appears on screen.
Yeah.
So they took little pieces and really stretched them out, but then sped up everything else.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like for this. I mean, you're going back to like how movies in the 90s and how movies for kids were always done. I even like when I went back and revisited the original Toy Story, I've noticed the pacing was a lot different now as an adult than it was when I was a kid. Perfect when I was a kid. As an adult, really quick. It feels like it's speeding through some stuff. And that's the way this movie was done. It was like, here's your scene. All right, we did that for a minute. Cool, move on to the next scene. All right, here's Rafiki doing his thing. All right, cool, move on to the next scene. This, that, and the other. And as an adult, albeit at that point it's not necessarily geared for me, it did feel a little quick in places. Whereas, again, it's probably perfect for children who are already like tuning out and on their phones and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the kind of thing you're dealing with this one. I would say overall, like my biggest takeaway is it's the same story. That's not really a plus or a negative for me. I think that's just fine. There wasn't too much more that you want to add or take away to really change it all that much. But the problem for me is that it lost some of the heart that the cartoon had because it lost some of the emotion from some of the animals, most of the animals, all the animals, whatever, that you get whenever they're doing those elements that are a little bit more cartoonish.
Mm-hmm.
I would say at that point I would probably give this probably middle ground 3 out of 5 for me.
So 3 out of 5. Simba painting drawings.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Simba.
What?
I don't know. So 3, you said 3.5?
I said 3.
3?
Yep.
I'm actually going to go ahead and give it 3.5. I actually do feel like, in reflection, that this is still probably one of the better live-action Disney.
Aladdin.
Yeah. I think this one's probably one of the better ones of all of them that have come out so far. A great testament to Jon Favreau, who also did wonderful work on the Jungle Book live-action remake. So apparently Jon Favreau is your go-to man for these live-action remakes. Tim Burton, not so much.
Yeah,
Dumbo and
if you need to like
Alice in Wonderland.
recreate CGI animals and make them look realistic, go Jon Favreau.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's going to be our thoughts on this one. What did you think about The Lion King? Have you seen it yet? Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of the movie. Let us know what you thought of our review. We're always looking for feedback, so anything you let us know, we're going to be happy with it, unless, of course, you're leaving some nasty troll comments, and then you can get on out of here.
Or we just might laugh and retort, and I don't know, we might play with it.
Depends on what mood we're in that day.
Yeah. So, yeah, let us know what you thought of this. Leave some comments down below. If you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you didn't like this video,
Be prepared.
make sure you subscribe to this channel. You can hit this button up above our heads to do just that. And over here off to the side are a couple other videos that we have made. And as always,
I want to be a big pig. You can be a big pig too.
Yep, later.
See ya.
Can you believe we got through this whole video without me singing?
No, I can't actually.